Bill or Lori? Lori, you online?
Yeah, Bill, I am.
Awesome. Sandy? Sandy wasn't even on yesterday.
Well, Bill, I think she was because she texted me and said she was there, but she was muted.
Next year, get ready for me to be up here. I'm gonna be pointing you all out.
Just an FYI, Lori, once in a while I will mute you guys because we're getting a lot of background noise from you, but I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourselves.
That's fine, no worries.
Okay.
Dealing with me.
No, not all. There's an outstanding.
Like 400 million. Right, not that.
We all have to ask though, is she as talented as she has proven?
Not an easy process to go through.
The very beginning when I was trying to learn and I'm explaining it to me and I say, how about I know.
Does she follow directions well at all? She does? Oh. Standard procedures and approving minutes or anything else.
Yesterday's meeting. That won't be done until the 19th.
Okay.
And he's gonna have to revise that.
So this is a draft.
Can't submit it now.
Yeah.
We're not done with September 14th meeting.
Okay.
There he is. All set? Good morning, everyone. I call to order the emergency board meeting for September 14th, which was held here in Marks Hall, and reopen the public hearing. Russell, would you please lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please?
Our Heavenly Father, we cast our burdens upon you this morning. We know that your presence will be with us all day, this board, to help us make decisions for our meeting. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
And for those that don't know Mr. Come on, Dwayne. Mark Barnaby, he is our district's counsel. Welcome to the meeting today. Lori, would you please give us the roll call?
Sure. Mary Chandler,
Here. In the hall.
Lori Dalton here via Zoom, Kathy Gregory,
Here in the hall.
Todd Lombardi,
Present in the hall.
Russell McAllister,
Here in the hall.
Louis Nichols,
Here in the hall.
Pete Price, Sandy Simonich,
Here by Zoom.
and Dwayne Trotter.
Present and in the hall.
Okay.
Great, thank you. At this time, we have reopened the public hearing. Would anybody like to make any comment, questions?
I think first I need to see if there's anybody here today that was not here yesterday and has not been privileged to see the PowerPoint presentation about the endeavor we're going into. How about on Zoom? Is there anybody on Zoom that has not seen the presentation? That I am happy to do it? Okay, so at this point, am I obligated to do the presentation or just take questions?
I think since there's everyone who's been here, and there's no one here that has not seen it, so.
Yep.
I don't think it's necessary
Just
to go through it.
See if there's any additional questions that
Correct.
didn't get
Yes.
posed yesterday from anybody, so we can make sure they're addressed and they're heard. Okay,
So hearing none,
well, I mean,
it is anybody on Zoom that would like to make any comment?
I would.
okay,
Okay, could you identify yourself and please do your name and street and then please spell your name.
Yeah, my name is Martin, Martin. Last name Bengston, B as in Baker, E as in Edward, N as in November, G as in golf, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, O, N as in November. The address 6607 Oregon Street.
Okay,
So I was able to watch the meeting yesterday. And I always like to think before I speak. So I think there were a number of really great points that were brought up yesterday. And one of the things that was brought up that kind of stood out to me was that it appears to me that we are getting income because of the docks and all the slips that we rent out, correct?
correct.
Okay. So I don't present problems without presenting solutions. So I'm gonna present a solution that I came up with yesterday and tell you what my thoughts are.
okay,
So I went around and I looked at all of the boat slip rentals within basically a 10-mile radius of trailer estates. And yesterday the comment was made that you guys are only renting at basically 40% of the market value, correct?
correct.
Okay. So when I went out and took a look at what we're renting for and what others are renting for, we're actually only renting at 25% of market value, not 40. So my thoughts are, I think that the lady, Mrs. Cox or Miss Cox, I think she kind of hit the nail on the head as far as where I was thinking. You know, it's a privilege and an honor to live in the community, but it's also not a responsibility of every homeowner to subsidize boat ownership for other people in the community. So as a result, I was just doing some math, and math is definitely my friend. So I pulled up a loan calculator and I plugged in $1.5 million. And of that $1.5 million, and we said we're getting a loan for 4.11% interest, and the term is for 15 years, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that means that the monthly payment for the homeowners association or our group is $11,178.19 a month. And if we take that number and you divide it out by the total number of slips that are there at the marina, and I'm just going to round up and say $11,200 a month, divided by 116, that is basically, an extra $96.55 a month for every single slip there. And so what I'm proposing is that instead of only raising some and not others, that every slip across the board gets a rate increase by month for the next 10 years that pays off the loan. It'd pay off the loan early. It would pay off the loan in a very fair and equitable way. I don't own a boat, but boats aren't cheap to operate, and that's why I don't own a boat. So if someone can afford to have a boat and be able to pay to have it sitting over there at the marina, then paying an extra $130 a month is a nominal fee, whether they live at trailer estates or they don't. Because my biggest concern is creating two different classes of citizens here within the community. You have those who have boats and you have those who don't have boats. It's an amenity that not everyone can use because of its limited size and nature and because of the cost. So I don't believe that it's, in my opinion, something that is fair and equitable for everyone to pay for. I believe that, if we are getting income from that marina, that makes it a business. And if it's a business, it's not being run very effectively. And it doesn't take a good or bad business owner to figure out if you're not making enough money or if you're losing money. And so $130 per slip per month for 10 years not only repays that, but it also ensures that we pay attention to making sure that we're making enough money off of that. Even additional $130 a month per slip is still far below market value for fair rent of anywhere else on the coast, let alone within 10 miles.
So you're recommending in addition to what they're currently paying, they have an increase of $130 per month?
That is correct, for a total of 10 years, at which point in time the debt has been paid. And then it's the people that use the marina that are paying for the marina.
So this is Mary Chandler. My concern with that is that would have to guarantee that every single person that has a slip today keeps that slip for 10 years and pays this amount for 10 years, because otherwise than that, if they all say, I'm not paying that, and they leave, we're left with a debt that we don't have the money to repay.
Well, I would challenge that by saying, where are they going to take their boat for less money? We are already so far below market rates out there. Where are they going to take it to? We will always have a waiting list because we are already the very cheapest place on the entire seaboard. So if you raise it $130 a month, I think what's happening is it's making everyone on the board be a good fiduciary to the entire neighborhood. Because everyone that sits on the board has a duty to represent the entire community in a fair and equitable manner. Not everybody out here has a boat.
Yeah.
So why should I be subsidizing the seawall and the marina so that another homeowner here can spend $500 a year to put their boat there? I shouldn't be stuck with that cost.
Martin, I guess this is Dwayne. I have the same question. Say if the pool has to be replaced and it's $1 million. I don't use the pool. So am I only going to charge the 41 people that can use the pool at one time?
That's a great
Amount of
question.
dollars?
That's a really great question. I'm glad you brought that one up because we did talk about it yesterday.
Mhm.
So there is a barrier to entry to being able to use the marina. You have to have a boat. There is no barrier to entry for using the pool. It is open for everyone to be able to use, and it's a common amenity. So yes, I would believe everybody should have to pay their fair share to repair the pool. But I don't believe that everyone should have to pay a fair share to repair the marina. Because again, it is not a common element and amenity for everyone to use.
But it is.
But it is.
It is.
Every resident of the park can get on the waiting list or can get a slip. I currently have 2 open slips right now for 24-foot boats. If we
But
raise,
again,
if we
I
raise
have to
it
have
that
the boat.
much, if we raise it that much, people are not going to rent slips. I can tell you that right now.
And do we
Well-
charge fee to go down there and fish?
Okay, I have a different.
This
question.
isn't personal, guys. This is
No,
just,
no.
this is business. This is
And-
absolutely business.
And Martin, I need to validate how that would work for us. And so I'm gonna ask our attorney, Mark. When we have rental income coming in from slip rentals, whether it is what it is now or $130 more, that money has to go into our general fund and used for, can I use that money to pay back a loan, or does the loan have to be? We hired a company, Rosetta and Company, to do absolutely nothing but look at this district and look at the marina and the benefited properties of the district and make a recommendation to us as to what was the right way to assess for this loan. And they determined that the method of using it as a assessment against every lot in the district was appropriate because every single parcel in this district benefits from the marina being there, whether you have a boat or not, because we have a marina in our district. So our property values take that into consideration, and people who the marketability of our property takes that into consideration. So they did a really in-depth independent review to help us make sure we were doing an equitable allocation of this this loan repayment. But can we do? I don't even think we can do that, can we? You want?
I think so.
Yes.
I think so. I like this better. It's just easier to work this way. I think the answer, both the board and the gentleman have some valid points. And so you clearly, I think, need to be looking, now that I've heard all this, ought to be looking at your rental rates.
And we are.
But you're also correct in that it is certainly an amenity for the entire district. And it benefits the property owners. I want to just address one of the issues. It benefits the property owners, all of the property owners. And as you pointed out, Rosetta looked at that issue. If only because the guy that buys the unit the next time may buy it because there's a marina here. So, and because of all the things that are going on. So, and there are different things you can do at the marina as well. However, I do think you could pay for some more, at least some of this out of revenues that you could pay off part of the loan out of revenues that you get from the marina. I don't think there's anything that would restrict you from doing that if that's what you wanted to budget that money for. And that might be appropriate under circumstances.
I think we're allowed to use assessment income to make additional payments on the loan. But if it's other income, it goes against the prepayment penalties and the loan terms.
Yeah,
Can I see that in writing somewhere? Because I keep hearing about a lot of things that we can and can't do, but I'd really like to see it in black and white. Show me somewhere in writing where it says we can't use income from the slips to repay a loan.
Martin,
I mean, if it goes through the general fund, then the loan is part of the community. You're trying to assess us for paying that back a loan. But if you were doing the fiduciary duty of charging more for those slips in the first place, we would have more income.
Martin, we are very fortunate today to have an attorney from Neighbors Giblin, the bond attorneys that represented us in this endeavor. Ritesh is here, and he is going to speak to that because he is definitely more knowledgeable than I'm going to pretend to be. But I just remember that being something we talked about in the loan terms. And the loan terms with Regions Bank is available on the website in the special folder we've set up for everything involved in this. And the assessment methodology report that Rosetta completed for us is also available on the website, but I'm going to let.
Good morning.
Ritesh.
For the record, my name is Ritesh Patel with Neighbors Giblin and Nickerson, the district's bond counsel for this financing. I think Mr. Martin has raised some good points. Take them one by one. First of all, as Mary stated, you have an independent methodology report prepared by Rosetta, which shows all the units, all the lots in the district benefit from the special assessment. It's not only marketability, as Mary said, it's also a safety issue. You have a seawall, prevents flooding. It's in deterioration. It's going to protect all the lots from being flooded. And I think that is one of the keys of their report. On the second part, I'll just point you to section 303B of the bond resolution that's online. As far as the prepayments, there is two methods to prepay. The district is able to prepay in whole or in part from special assessments without a penalty. But if they use other funds, such as increased rental revenue, there is a penalty associated with that that deteriorates or changes from every year. There's a 5% premium through 2024. It goes down to 4% through 26, 3% through 28, 2% through 29, and 1% through 2030. And then there was no prepayment penalty after that. What I would say is what you can do if the board chooses to raise rates, you can use those excess monies that you generate to help pay the debt as it comes due every year, every payment date that you're making payments on the debt. And what you can do in turn is reduce the special assessment from year to year for your property owners. So if you generate $500,000 in revenue, that's going to reduce the special assessment. You're going to assess every parcel in the property by $500,000. So it just becomes math. Ultimately, you can use these other revenues to help pay the debt. You can't prepay it without the penalty. If you want to pay it all in, at one time, that's where that prepayment penalty comes into place. But if you're just servicing debt on an ongoing basis, making your payments, much like you would a mortgage, you could use these other funds, use special assessments. But what you'll do is then when you set your assessment rate that year, you'll know we have this much excess funds that we're going to put to debt service. So we're going to in turn lower our special assessments for our residents. And that's kind of the way I would go about it.
I would almost think instead of reducing the special assessment, we reduce the operating.
Yeah, you could do it either
The
way.
assessment, because since every single property owner, a lot is being assessed a special assessment and the operating, if we can bring additional income to reduce our
I think that's
expenses
probably
to operate,
even easier.
then every single person again reaps the benefits of that. Because my concern about using it to pay down the loan is if we have people that prepay
Right.
in year one,
Yeah. They
and
don't
now
get
we
the benefit,
reduce it, then that's going to be a
but
nightmare.
everybody gets the
to-
benefit of the
Yes.
reduced operating.
Right,
assessment.
right. So
That's
I think
a great point.
our
Yeah.
goal should be to look for additional income that can reduce our operating assessment so that everybody reaps the benefit of that since.
So why aren't we doing that then already? Why aren't we already reducing our operating budget? Instead of saying we're going to do it in the future, why aren't we doing that already?
To be honest, the rates for the marina are up on an agenda item. I don't think we've got it on the 19th, do we
No,
not?
not
So we'll
for the
probably be on the
19th.
October 3rd, but we've been talking about we need to revisit those rates. We revisit them every year. Every year they automatically go up 5%, but we understand that we need to do a more of an increase. We've lost some outside boat slip owners So we've lost income as a district that we need to recover. And we're going to have to increase the rates for the residents to recover that lost income anyway. So this is a whole review that we're going to be doing, and we're going to make that happen.
I think that it shouldn't matter whether you are a resident at the estate or not. The boat slip is since it is considered then a common element, it should not be predicated on whether you live at trailer estates or not. Every boat slip has a value, and the value should be spread equally to every single person that has a boat there. And the other point I would make is I really appreciate the gentleman coming up and talking about the penalty that would be involved, but nobody asked the question, how much of a penalty? If we pay it off 5 years early and we don't have any debt load to carry for an additional 5 years, wouldn't that make the penalty worthwhile?
You've made some great comments for us to consider. Ritesh is going
I was just
to.
gonna say, yeah, no, it becomes a math exercise. The
Exactly.
board can make that determination. Hey, we have a 5% prepayment penalty, but we think in the end that gets the residents ahead. And it ultimately, again, it goes back to just doing the math and see
Sure.
where you guys end up. And the board as your governing board makes that decision and decides what to do.
So, Mr. Martin, thanks for your comments. I appreciate it. I think yesterday was clear, the board has invited the residents to speak, we have to, but we listened. And I think one thing that's come up for sure that we're aware of is that the marina rates are not as high as they should be to be doing our diligence to the park. However, I certainly am not in favor of the boat owners alone shouldering the cost of the seawall, because we hired counsel, they determined that everyone benefits. And I am not in favor of shifting the whole seawall expense to the boat owners. Just, that's my feeling. And that's what I hear you saying. And I do not think that's fair. Everyone benefits from that marina. Everyone
Okay,
is fair.
so what's the ratio then of what is fair and equitable?
I
What would you say that is?
don't know.
Because not out of 1,479 units, there's only how many homeowners that have boats? What's that ratio?
I think there's
114.
a part of this that I don't think is being considered. The fact that the seawall is a risk right now in its current condition. And regardless of whether you own a boat or not,
Mhm.
if that
Be
seawall
quick.
should collapse, it is going to be catastrophic to every single property in this park. And we need to protect those properties that surround the marina, whether they own a boat or not, from that possibility. I mean, the slide presentation showed holes and cracks that we've been repairing that, this is, and we've had 2 independent evaluations of the condition of the marina, and both have said this is a must-have, not a nice-to-have. And that was basically what Rosetta said too. The condition of the marina, it's a safety hazard, and it's a safety hazard to everybody, not just those who own a boat.
I'm not disagreeing that it needs to be done. I truly am not. I'm not opposed to that. What I'm opposed to is everyone who doesn't have the ability to use the marina the same way that the boat owners do should not be shouldering 100% of the repair cost. And I'm also saying that, this is a business, quite obviously. So it is incumbent upon the board to actually run it like a better business. We should already be cutting costs. We should already not be offering, exceptional healthcare to part-time employees. We shouldn't be going and doing a lot of things that we do. But I do believe that if it's going to be run like a business, it needs to be run effectively. And if that means you go and you bring in an outside management company that runs the marina and makes it profitable, then that's what we should do. It doesn't sound to me like there's anybody on the board that wants to step up and set up shop and run the thing like a business. And I don't blame you. I don't either. I sit on a board back home, And I can tell you, it's a pain in the butt because you can only, please some of the people some of the time. You can never please all the people all the time. I get it. And I thank you all very much for your service. But I'm
Mark,
just saying there's got to be a
disappointed
better
me with that
way.
statement. You just disappointed me with that statement. I was gonna say, listen, we've got 5 openings on the board next year. We
Yeah.
only have 4 on the ballot right now, so come help,
I don't live there full time. So, it's an escape hatch for me to come down.
okay.
So,
Can I throw one thing in here real quick? First of all, we don't have the cash on hand to repair the seawall, and it has to be done.
sure, I get
Okay,
that.
So we need to do this loan. All right, now at a later date, if we need to figure out if we need to put money back and ease the assessments that are on people, then we can do that at another time. But currently, right now,
Correct.
we have to get this done. It needs to be done. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
We can look at other options later is what I'm saying.
Well, but here's my concern about later. It's kind of like our federal government. Oh, we're going to spend now and worry about how we pay for it later. I don't want that. I think for this to be able to be, I think for this to be fair is if you're saying we're going to address it later, I'd like to know how it's going to be addressed later. And I don't see any problem with talking about right now how we're going to make more income to cover this, because then I am not in favor of just running out and taking out a loan and then figuring out how we're going to pay for it later, because then what happens is other things get thrown into the project. And then we get scope creep, and scope creep means very expensive assessments down the road. So I believe it is incumbent upon the board to discuss and share with all of us how you are planning on paying for that then. If you're saying we're later on going to raise boat rents, great. By how much? I mean, I would like to know, and I think I deserve to know. I shouldn't just get slapped with the tax bill and say, oh, we're going to figure it out later.
You've made some great points, and you're not alone in some of the points that you've made about us needing to do things to bring more revenue into the park and reduce the assessment. So we've heard that loud and clear. So now I'm going to ask you to hold us accountable. If you are seeing that it's been 3 or 4 board meetings and those things haven't been discussed, then, you need to say, hold us accountable and say, when are we going to talk about this, bringing more revenue in? When are we going to talk about raising the boat rents? Because, we're trying to just do the day-to-day business, and sometimes we don't get to things. So every resident has the obligation and should be holding us accountable if they see us not taking action. So I'm going to ask you to hold us accountable by checking in, coming to the board meetings, watching the board meetings. And if you find that we're not doing it, remind us that we had said we were going to look into that.
Mr. Chairman, the other thing I just want to note, what I think this gentleman is at least suggesting is you not take action on this matter today, which is up to the board. That's up to the board. However, as I know we've discussed in the last 48 hours, our rates for our loan are fixed through the end of this week.
Yes,
And therefore, if we delayed, we can't guarantee the rates that we currently have.
that's correct.
And so I just wanted to remind the board of that. It's obviously up to the board. I do think you certainly can do all the things that we just talked about moving forward. And I do think even if it applies to your operating budget, your assessments could be affected by increasing the rates of the marina for the future. I understand where the gentleman's coming from. I think he made some very good points. But I do want to remind you, your rates are locked in only through this
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that I have just one last question then. With regards to the repair work being done at the marina, is there a guarantee that costs are not going to go up and that we're not going to have scope creep? Are we saying that this is a fixed rate that is being provided to get the work done? Because inevitably, and take it from someone who's in real estate, that'd be me, inevitably, there are overruns and costs that come up that weren't accounted for. No one on the board is a professional at rebuilding seawalls. I'm not. So the company that is being brought in to do the job, they're supposed to be the expert. Are we getting a guaranteed fixed rate or fixed cost to repair the seawall?
Okay. You don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
There is so much stuff underneath that concrete that you have no clue what is underneath it. All right. And we will not know until we get involved in it. Yes, this is the absolute best guess. I've gone down and done an assessment. There's been 2 other companies that have done an assessment. And this is our absolute best guess. And there was things missed in the first one that, I picked up and I added into this second one here. So we got that covered. But there is no guarantee that there's not going to be any additional costs. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure there is not, but you never know. You don't know what you don't know.
That's it. That's right. So my next question is, when the uh-oh happens, because there is always an uh-oh, how is that going to get funded? Are we going to be right back here again saying we got to go back to the bank and borrow more money at a higher interest rate?
I feel with the professionals that we've had look at this, and these are people that do seawalls every single day. Okay. The Foster company, that's what they do. It's all they pretty much work on are seawalls. Between them and the other 2 people that have assessed this, they have done their due diligence in assessing the seawall and don't anticipate any major issues. But again, I'm going to say it one more time. You don't know what you don't know.
You're absolutely right. So then that leads me to my next couple of questions. The next one is, what is the warranty or guarantee for the work that is being performed, and how long is that guarantee in place? And then the other question is, are they bonded and are they insured?
Yes, they're bonded and insured, all that.
Yeah.
Warranty on the seawall is 1 year. Life expectancy of the materials that have been spec'd in this is actually 75 years.
Okay, so if it is determined, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate, so we have a big storm, 14 months from the time it's completed, the seawall falls off and into the marina. Who's going to be responsible?
Nobody's going to warranty that. I'm sorry. I mean, that's like saying if California has an earthquake and breaks off, I'm sorry, they're not going to warranty that.
But does our
warranted against defects and workmanship? Okay?
Does our insurance policy cover something like that?
I have no clue.
Yes,
Yes, it does.
Is it considered catastrophic and it would be covered by our policy?
it's covered. It's listed on our property insurance policy. It's listed. It's covered for that. We're going to be talking about insurance at the 19th meeting, and yes, it's on there. It's listed as property of the park.
Thank you. I appreciate you all addressing my questions. I wish you all the very best of the day, and I appreciate your hard work. And I hope and pray that we get through this and that we actually start generating income and offset the cost by everybody, so that everyone's getting at least $100 a year of extra income to their property, so that it feels like we don't have an assessment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. You gave us a lot to think about. And I'm sure we're going to bring those up at future meetings, like we've already addressed. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to address the public hearing?
Yes.
And please give your name and spell your last name, please.
Jim Angerame, Angerame, 1614, Minnesota. Math is not my forte, or our spreadsheets, but I realized that the marina is going to add more value to my home than the $1,400 or $1,500 that I'm going to be paying. A lot more. I don't own a boat. I don't fish, but I realized that not doing this is going to cost much more in the long run. And that's simply my view, that this benefits all of us. You've talked that you're going to be discussing raising the rates at the marina. That's fine, but they should not bear the full cost. That can't happen. The other thing I'd like to say is that these discussions for the marina and even for the park manager have been going on for almost 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years, mostly in front of empty board meetings and empty Zoom. And there seems to be a lot of expertise in the park that could have helped both projects. And I would just encourage this expertise to not sit back and to help out with things. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to make comment for the public hearing? Do I have anybody else on Zoom? Sure, I have one in the audience, please. Can you move the microphone down? Oh, Bill's
Still
got it.
going.
My name is Sylvia Harbison, and I live at 6514 Washington Street. I got my tax bill. I'm not able to pay it. I've had things happen not only on my property, and there's still a problem on my property. I've made all kinds of things to make my home livable, but I have more things I have to do. I can't do it. And you're talking about adding more money to me. I have nowhere to go. I contacted Senior Citizens, Manatee County Aging Services. I don't know if anybody is aware of it. And they have elderly assistance. It's really not able to help me a lot. And I just don't want to lose my home. I love it. I've been here years, many years. I love this park. It's a wonderful park. And I appreciate everything you're doing. I've been on boards, no fun. I understand. And I don't want to create a problem for anybody. But you got to keep everybody, got to think of everybody. I don't have a boat, can't afford a boat, can't even afford to ride a boat. I don't even go to the pool. These things I don't do. I understand it came with the park. I was on the fire department. I worked on the fire department. We never got a salary, but we were there when you needed us. I'm just asking you to think of everybody. Some people have money, other people are struggling. Please keep that in mind as you are facing this decision that you're going to make. Because I don't know what I'll do if I can't even pay this. So I just wanted you to understand that not everybody can meet this. And this tax bill was dated September 9th. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to make comment on the public hearing? Anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom that would like to make a comment? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing for, do I have to give it time?
I don't think so, no.
At that, I'm going to close the public hearing. Okay, I'd like to move right on into the new business of adopt the resolution for the 2022-2023
I'll take care of it.
seawall improvement project assessment.
Yes, I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2022-03 Seawall Improvement Project Final Assessment Resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
That was Todd's voice.
That was Todd, Lori, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any discussion? All those approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. The motion is passed. The second item we have is the adopt the resolution for the 22 to 04
Yep.
Taxable special assessment bond.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2022-04 taxable special assessment bond series 2022 resolution.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it again.
Todd seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on that resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. The motion is passed. Like to open it up for public comment.
I don't think we,
Don't have any?
No.
Okay. And then at that time, I will adjourn the meeting.
I would actually just ask that we have an agenda item added to the next board meeting to discuss how we are going to bring in more revenue.
Can't be.
okay,
I can do that.
we'll add it to the workshop agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 10:16. Please turn off your microphones.